All right, welcome to the bindering portion of the programming. This is probably going to be people that did not create the book pull list, but it might also be some book pull list people. So if you have not created the book pull list, and you're unfamiliar with the book pull list, I'm just going to go over it very quickly. So usually we will divide the work up by column IDs. Here, this is an example. If you didn't watch the first video, this is an example of a book pull list that I created in my 2L year. There are 321 column IDs, so a pretty like small article, I would say. I was on one article that had 1,000 column IDs. That was really not great and it was really just tragic. So we're gonna hope that I think 500 is a lot, but 300, pretty decent sized article, but it wasn't as bad as my 1,000. So you got that going for you if your article has less than 1,000 column IDs. So you've divided this up by column IDs likely. I'm going to say that I was the first person that went and I got column ID 1 just to go from the top. All right, so I have this source list. This is not going to say binder. This would say not pulled. So I'll be sitting here with a not pulled source, having to figure out kind of what the congressional record is. One thing that Professor Darren will touch on in orientation that you don't know about yet because you've not used this research database, I would guess, is that Hein Online is unbelievable for finding like really old sources or just any obscure congressional record. It's pretty good with old cases, and it's really, really good for state laws throughout history. So I think my first step would be to go to Hein Online. I'm not going to actually go and find this source because it would just take me an annoying amount of time and you don't want to watch me do that. So I'm just going to pull up what I did. So I found the source. Oh, where is it? So when I was doing this edit, I ended up finding the source on Hein Online. Here's it. Here's what I found on Hein Online. I downloaded it and I saved just the entire source. So this is the Senate report. I saved the entire source. I downloaded it off Hein Online, and I likely had it in preview mode, and I saved it with its name to the source folder as 001167 Congressional Record S6230 book pull. I used book pull to make it clear that I hadn't edited the source at all, and it's not bindered, but it's just the source itself. And as I'm speaking, I'm realizing that I should back up here and just discuss kind of the source folder naming conventions. So the naming conventions, first three digits are always going to be the footnote in basically three digits. So this is footnote 1, but it's 001. And this just helps us make sure that we have like a list in order of the footnotes and the sources that are mentioned. So that when you're looking for footnotes in second edit, you can easily find them in the book pull in the source folder. So this is 001, and then the convention is basically the first five names, five words in the Blue Book citation. It kind of appears that I probably didn't know what the Blue Book citation actually was, but there's only one source in 001. So I just did the first basically four words of the source that the author used. Okay, so I have the book pull source. I have it downloaded. And then I have a Mac, so this video probably won't be very helpful for PC people. But of course, I'm I'm not going to buy a PC. So the way that you do this is you open Preview, and pursuant to the binder book pull instructions, you need to find the section of the source that the author cites. So returning to the article to do this, we're in footnote 1, of course, and the article has cited 167 Congressional Record S630. So I personally had never like looked at a congressional record, so I don't even know what that means. Quickly figured out that congressional record, the page number is S. It's at the bottom like this, which is I honestly don't know why, but I'm gonna find S630. Oh, it's at the top too. Now that I'm paging through, and then I'm gonna look, see. Okay, wait, was it S 630? Okay, what did the author say about this? Oh, it looks like they directly quoted it. So this is pretty nice, actually, from the book pull list perspective. So they're saying something about Trump when I first. Oh boy, what is the block code? So I realize now my mistake was that the first citation is to body or to text in the body of the article. So and it's a direct quote, which is good. Um, so I'm just gonna look up, whatever truth is truth or whatever they're saying in this truth. I'm not really sure why this is so hard to find in this article. All right. Okay, so I have found where the author is quoting from. It's this portion of the congressional record. So I'm going to highlight that portion of the congressional record. And this is good because this article has text highlighting capabilities. And because he directly quoted the article, I'm also going to put a red box around it. And then in the next to it, I'm going to click make a text bubble, and I'm going to say footnote 1. And then if you recall, we also have more content to cover in footnote 1 because he incited it. Okay, we found it on page 634. When I first saw this model, the last word is our republic. So when I first saw this model, this is also a direct quote, so we are highlighting it. And then we're going to put a box around it as well. Because it's a direct quote. And then in the text, we're also going to put footnote 1. Okay, and then we know from the book pull list, obviously, that this is the last time this legislative material is cited. So the way that you binder something is a little tricky, but not that tricky. So on MacBooks, I only know how to do this on Macs. So to binder something, we want to make sure that we have every single thing that could be relevant for the Blue Book information. So for like a book, that means title page, index, table of contents, publisher information. It also means any sort of like copyright information. That's just because if you recheck out a book and you like give that book back, and then all of a sudden we have something we don't know, we really just want to make sure that we're overdoing it so that we don't have to go back to the library because that's always kind of tragic. So the way that you book pull, I'm holding down the command key on my computer. It's command and I'm clicking. So I'm clicking that. I'm going to click the first page of the article because I want it. And then I'm going to click the page before and the page of the quote. This is kind of like, you probably don't need to do this for the this one just because it's direct quotes, but I usually like to sandwich the actual content that's cited in case, a different page works better. Okay, so now I have those clicked. Now I have them clicked, and I'm going to go File, Print, and then I'm going to go down here to PDF. I'm going to go Save as PDF. Oh, almost made a mistake. Going to click Selected Pages in Sidebar first. Then I'm going to go Save as PDF, and I'm going to go, instead of book pull here, I'm going to go Bindered. Yep, replace it because I already have this saved still from when I did this in January. And then I'm going to go back to my source folder and I'm going to upload the bindered version, and let's see if I actually did this correctly in January. Okay, so it looks like I did a pretty good job. Here is what I pulled. Okay, so good job. I didn't do the red box around it, but we want to make sure that for direct quotes, we're red boxing things. So we are putting a red box and highlighting. I just want to show you another source really quickly. we'll do this Hamilton source. So if you watch the video, you know that the second source cited is Hamilton, not the musical, the book. This, it looks like I book pulled it, but I didn't binder it, which is interesting. Now, the reason I did that is because there was no pin site here for the book, so I just pulled the front material. That's another internal rule, is that if you have a See Generally site or where there's no pin site, you can just pull, as I was mentioning before, title page, any kind of copyright information, that kind of thing, table of contents, and you can scan that in through the Notes app on your phone, or you can also buy a like PDF scanner. I think I bought the PDF scanner. It works slightly better than the Notes app, but it's sort of outrageously expensive. So I would recommend the Notes scanner. All right, I'm gonna actually just show you one more thing quickly. So an actual book that we did here. So as you can notice, this is the naming convention of the folder for something that is scaffolded. So recall from our Excel doc, this source is cited 5 times. So you list all the footnotes that it's cited in, click on it, and then here I've done this already, the book pull. I book pulled and I scanned in all the pages that the author referenced. And then on preview, I did, the classic, download on preview. I'll just do it for you here quickly. Okay, so download, once I've scanned in this PDF to me. And then this is kind of a weird source because you're not going to be able to nicely highlight the text like I was for the congressional record. So, okay, we're on the Alexander source. So what does the author say? Page 5 in footnote 3. What was he saying in footnote 3? He's citing it for U.S. territories of Guam, Puerto Rico, and Northern, although this past never completely equated citizenship with voting rights. Okay, so it's more about voting rights. So he's talking about page 5 of that book. So luckily, I scanned in page 5. This is a little tricky because it's not a direct quote, but you can read this section and it looks generally consistent and applicable to what the author is referring to. So I'm going to do a box around this section because I can't highlight the text because it's a PDF scanned in. And I'm going to go footnote 3 to the side. And then, as I mentioned, I kind of already half bindered this source because I didn't scan in the whole book. I just scanned in the pages that were mentioned in the book pull list. But if this were an entire book, I would do the trimming down thing that I did for the congressional record source, and I would save it as book pulled. So let's see how I did in real life. Yep, here is the, going back, bindered. I would save it as bindered, not book pulled. We'll look on page 5. Yep, looks good. This is how I binded it, and it worked well because that allows our second editors to clearly see if the relevant portion of the text that is referenced by the author is backed up by legitimate logic. So that is how you binder a source. Again, you'll realize that interesting and kind of weird questions arise with each source and each article. So if this seemed to not be extremely relevant to some of your problems that you're having with the book pull list, or if there's an extra thing that you would like me to answer for you, please let me know. And then also, I think Google will be your best friend if you own a PC, but I don't have a PC and I don't really know how it works to do bindering correctly. I believe there are instructions on SharePoint, so check those out. Otherwise, you kind of understand the logic now of what we're trying to do when we binder something. So I believe in you to be able to figure it out. But that is the general organization of the source folder. And I'll just show you the final product once it's finished. Every folder should have two sources in them, and it should look really nice and simple like this so that the second editors have the easiest job possible. Okay, thanks for watching.